Well, hello, everyone. Happy afternoon. Happy Monday. Come on in. Let's get busy. It's time. It's time. Let's see if my volume is turned up. Oh, yes, it is now. I'm just looking for my girls. I'm just looking for my girls. There comes my gals. Yay. You know what today is, don't you? Do you know what today is? Today is the sprint. You get a sprint, and you get a sprint, and you get a sprint. There's Cassie, my lunch buddy. Cassie's got a great habit that she started that I think is brilliant. She's part of my Take Back Your Life group. And what she's done is she's studying. She's becoming a student of herself. This is how we make the big fat changes that we're all so eager to make, right? And she's taking notes and writing things out, and it's amazing what happens when you start to really study as if you're going to college to get your bachelor's degree or your master's or your doctorate. You're getting a doctorate in life when you start taking notes and start taking yourself seriously. I love that. Good morning, good afternoon. Everyone come on in. We're the sprinters. And you get a sprint, and you get a sprint. I have a little Oprah overload here. And there's Mary Ann and Chuck. That's actually Yvonne. Thank you so much, you guys, for showing up. And also, I just want to give you a big shout out and a big thank you, too, for sharing this with so many people. Do you know we've had hundreds of people come into the sprint? Hundreds. You know how exciting that is? Because we are affecting change, and it's done as a community, it's done as a group, and it's done as a bunch of sisters who are just really excited about all the things that are happening in their lives. You know, this is not a one-man show. When we do things as a group, things change. I shared before in the sprint that 9 studies showed that when people get on this and they start doing it together as a group, that things change. Even if you're doing the exact same diet, you lose more weight if you're with a group. There's just something about that. There's the magic of the momentum again, right? So today we're going to be talking about things. You know, I me too. I find it to be fascinating. I read as much as I can and write things out. And, you know, one of the things that people are always saying, hey, I just don't have any motivation. I just don't have any of this. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. Motivation is a lot easier than you think it is, because motivation doesn't just fall on your head like, you know, a meteor from the sky. Motivation comes from you doing something. So isn't that exciting to know that you've got the power to actually make things start happening? It's true. So every week, if you're not familiar with our show, every week I start on Saturdays. Actually, I changed the quote, but we start with a quote of the week every week. And the reason why is because they're so motivating, and they're so, you know, it gets in your head and you start thinking about it, and that thinking starts to create a better place for you, and it starts to create more thoughts that are positive and helpful, right? Because what we think about, we bring about. We've heard that before from Rita Davenport. Marla says that one all the time, and it's so true. So I got this really great quote from some guy named F.M. Alexander, never even heard of him before. But it's that people don't decide their futures, they decide their habits. And their habits decide their futures. Isn't that the truth? We think that if we just write a bunch of stuff out that it's just magically going to happen. Well, it doesn't work that way. But our habits will create our futures, because our habits, the things that we do are the things that are going to show up in our lives. That's where we get our results. You know, ask anybody who has done this sprint too. Ask anyone who has been in this sprint what kind of results they've gotten. And it wasn't that they just printed out the thing, you know, here we go, 17 pages all printed out and read it. They went shopping for it. They cooked for it. They chopped for it. They were in it to win it. And at the end, they came out with a result. And the result was they didn't sit on their butts. They did something with the information. Information means nothing. If information was all it took, We'd all have six-pack abs, wouldn't we? We'd all be bikini models. We'd all be strong, and sugar cravings, what would that be? There wouldn't be any problems at all. We wouldn't have any of this stuff that we keep thinking about. The carousel of crazy wouldn't exist. It doesn't work that way. Motivation comes from doing. And when we do one thing, the next thing happens, and then the next thing happens, and then we get to harness the magic of momentum. That's when we start seeing the miracles. That's when we start seeing the things. And then we understand that within us is a power that we didn't even know. And that to me is what I love. Denise, it doesn't cost a dime. It's free. You go to savingdinner.com/sprint. Go read it. I do hold you to a high account. I do hold you to a high standard and say, I want you to print it out. I want you to read it. And I don't want you to just rely on other people for what you need to do. I want you to understand it. I want you to know it. I want you to plan for it, because I understand this from personal experience, that what we are invested in, that what you invest in, yourself, your time, and your energy into, is where you get the results. It isn't, you just can't be, we're not amoebas, we're not just, it's not going to happen from just laying there, It doesn't just happen that way. We have to be in it. We have to invest ourselves in it. We have to participate in it. The more we participate, the more we get out of it. I love that, because it tells me that it's not about somebody else doing it for me, right? It's not about just, whatever, see what happens, and oh my gosh, it's all out of my control. Absolutely not. It's not out of your control. It's in your control. And that is exciting. That's exciting because it takes us to this whole new level. It gives us an opportunity to see that what's inside of us can be harnessed, that there is power inside, and that we do have the ability to do this. Darlene said she printed it and read it 3 times. Getting excited. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. This is how it's done. And I've already seen, we've had hundreds of new people come in to the sprint this week, and it's exciting. It's exciting. These are people who are in it to win it. They're making changes. They're all invested in it. And it doesn't cost a dime to be invested in it, does it? In this whole thing. It's a free program for 7 days. And you get to have the opportunity of a week from today, getting on the scale and measuring and saying, you know what? I really did this. The momentum's crazy. So what I want to talk to you today a little bit about is, well, first of all, let's just say Thursday coming up, we have a new webinar. And I believe that the webinar link is in there now. If you go to savingdinner.com/webinar, let me know if it's not. But we have a new webinar on Thursday. For those of you who've not seen it, this is just kind of explaining the whole idea of eating clean keto. And when I say it's a new webinar, I have definitely done this before, but I will do it again because people have so many questions about this, like how does this work and why is it different and how do you put these whole pieces together? And it's just from all of my research, I put together like 10 things that move the needle, that make it better for you. And I hope you will join me for it. So it's savingdinner.com/webinar, and I believe the link should be in there. Cynthia, thank you for sharing. And thank you for sharing. We had hundreds of people come from Facebook who, didn't hear about it from Saving Dinner or hear about it from Fly Lady, but heard about the sprint just from Facebook. So I appreciate that. When you share, you care. And this is how we help people to grow and become all that they can be, because that's what it's about, isn't it? I always say to you, and you guys hear me say this all the time, and it's worth repeating every single day, and that is this contributing to the life that I want to create? We always get a chance to look at that. And here we are in January, the first, 2 weeks in January anyway, the first year in a new decade, and we get to start thinking in terms of how we want to move the needle in our lives. For a lot of us, there is some weight loss involved, right? But there's also a lot of other really good losses, like losing the inflammation, losing the pain, losing this constant thing in your head with the carousel of crazy, and becoming all that you can be, participating full out in your life. How fun is that? I mean, who wants to do that? Who wants to be on the sidelines? So one of the things that I have been really thinking about, and this is part of my whole thing, again, a great book that I have read is from James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. And I love this book. And I'm going to read it again just because it's that good, and listen to it again. It is that good. You've hit a home run when every single chapter you're just going, whoa, that's fantastic. Because he works with the brain, which I love. When you're working with the brain, then you're getting understand how you can get beyond what your usual is. The usual, right? Where it's like you do it the same thing over and over again and you keep hoping that this time you're going to get a different result. Well, if we understand how the brain works a little bit and why we keep doing the same things, we can start to affect change. And that's what his book is about, how Atomic Habits, how this works. And one of the things that he said is, which I wrote down because immediately it made me go bing, bing, that your outcome is something that you want to achieve versus your identity is something that you want to become. So, we all want outcomes, but if we instead concentrate on our identity and who we want to become and how much, and we look at ourselves and we see these things of, I want to become somebody who is active in my own life. I want to become somebody who can take a hike for a mile and not be out of breath and have to sit down. I want to be the kind of person that is, my kids say, yeah, she was when they're grown up, they're going to say, yeah, she's a really active mom. She did all these things with us. She wasn't just sitting on the couch. So those are the things we need to look at. I think when we look at things from the perspective of the identity that we want to be and the kind of person that we want to become, instead of just, I want to lose 10 pounds or 100 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is, then things shift. Because now it's about us and who we are. And it's not about a pair of jeans. It's not about just looking good. It's looking at who we are, our identity, the core values that we have, and how we want to show up in this life. And when we understand too that we have one life to live, we have one opportunity to do it, that our bodies are the vehicles for our lives. Our bodies get us there. And so therefore they need to be fueled better than we've fueled them before in the past. We can't give an excuse anymore for eating garbage. And I wrote this one down this weekend too. We're not the garbage collector. The garbage collector is the guy who, the garbage collector is the guy who goes around and takes all the trash out. And we need that, right? But our mouths don't need to be the garbage collection place. They don't. Our mouths need to be honoring. They need to be honoring with the food that's going in them, the words that are coming out of them. And our mouths need to be looked at in a different way from now on. We can't keep doing the same crazy things that have brought us to this place of thinking, reevaluating, like, what's going on here? Why am I dealing with this carousel of crazy again? We don't have to do that. We simply have to move our focus, and our focus needs to be on our character, on our identification of who we are, and how we can be a blessing to others, how we can bless ourselves so that we can bless others, how we can live in a way that is honoring to our God, to our family, to our friends, to our community. We can contribute. We can be more than just consumers. We can be contributors. This is what happens when we move out of this mindset of it's all about just, losing the weight and that's it. That's all I care about. And instead of our identity, shifting for an identity, because who we wish to become is much more important than just an outcome. An outcome is a small thing. An outcome is, you finished your dinner. Your outcome is that you arrived at this place. Outcomes are every single day we have an outcome, of some kind. But when we shift to our identity and we see the precious child of God that we are, and we see that we have something to contribute, and that we see that we're a part of a community and that we can contribute to that community, we can lift another sister up. We can make somebody's day. Do you realize that? That's how important you are. That's your worth right there. Yes, you are worthy of all of this. And yes, it might be your first time around the block, as the sprint, but I love seeing my ladies in the sprint group holding each other up. And you know what's so fun is I just back off and I just watch, smiling and thinking, who are these wonderful women who are doing this? And you know who they are? They're the encouragers. They're the supporters. They're the people who are true friends, and they're in it themselves. They've gone from being just I'm outcome oriented to being identity oriented, identification oriented of who they are, and it shows up every single day in the sprint. And this sprint is a special one. It's the first one of 2020. It is the first one in January. It's the first one. And people, traditionally in January, everybody's like, what happened? The holidays just blew me all up and all that. And I get that. And that's all part of, what we're doing. I get that. But while we're doing this and while we're, drinking our bone broth and eating the soup and the hot melt this and the hot melt that, there is amazing things happening within. And I get to talk to these people, in my coaching program, in Take Back Your Life, and also in the Hot Milk Club, I get to talk to them eyeball to eyeball and hear stories about how their lives are changing. And who would have thought just a little 7-day program could do that? But it can. And when we understand, we right now, today, as we start here in the sprint, first day, when we look at it and we understand that what we're doing here is we are fueling this one precious life that we've been given, then things start to shift. It's no longer about, the Weight Watcher, just the losing weight thing, and it's more about the quality of the life that you want to lead. You don't get to do another body. You don't. You got this one. It's all you've got. Warts and all. Spider veins on your legs and whatever else it is that you're looking at going, yeah, all these things, whatever. It's what you've got. I've got mine, you've got yours. We can't go to the car lot and trade them in like we can with a car. And yet so many of us fuel our cars so much better than we fuel ourselves. And I want to say stop to that, because I want you to start identifying yourself as who you wish to become instead of identifying yourself with just an outcome. The outcome is, yes, you will lose weight, but you're going to lose more than that. You're going to lose some pain. You're going to lose some inflammation. You're going to lose maybe an attitude that needs to go. And you are going to gain so much more. You're going to gain friends. You're going to gain support. You're going to gain encouragement. You're going to gain the power within you that's already there. You're going to find it. That's what this is all about. And I'm going to tell you right now that my nearest and dearest thing, the most important thing that I've ever done in my life has been to be a teacher. And if I can teach you and help you along the way, then my mission in life is complete. I know that's what I'm supposed to do. And if you need help, I'm there for you. And I know that's what I'm supposed to say as well. So if you're on the sprint already, you just go to Saving Dinner, right at savingdinner.com, right there. There's the sprint document. Just click on that link. It's right on the banner and go get it. Print it out and go get busy with it. You'll start a day late, but who cares? We'll be there for you. We've over 2,000, we have 2,200 people there. 2,200 people. Can you imagine the kind of support? Can you imagine? Well, don't imagine anymore. Just get in there and get it going. And for those of you who want more information and just want to understand the whys and what fors and how this whole thing works, sign up for the webinar and go to savingdinner.com/webinar and you'll get even more information. And be like Cassie. Take notes. Take notes and start writing these things down. Start directing all your energy instead of to what you don't have, to what you do have. Avail yourself of this information. Become all that you can become. You are worth the time. You're worth the energy. And the power within can change everything that you've got. It's not me. It's you. And all I'm here to do is to point you to it. That works, doesn't it? Cheers, y'all. Happy New Year. Happy sprint day, the first day in the sprint. I am going to be leaving this now, right now, and going right into our sprint group. And I'm going to talk to you sprinters who are on it. It's our first day. And I know that the rest of this whole week is going to be just as successful as your very first day. Hold on, listen up, and put on your seatbelt, Buttercup, because we're in for the change of your life, the ride of your life, if you will let it. Okay? That's my promise to you. So, peace. I will see you guys in the sprint group right now. Bye.